This is Tuesday, May the 4th. This is American history. Well, not everybody was excited about Reaganomics. The Federal Reserve Bank, or Fed for short, felt that the Reaganomics would increase the inflation, would increase our deficit. The Fed suggested that instead we should have higher interest rates. Interest rates began to go higher and higher in the first years of the Reagan administration. So here you have Reagan giving people back money because we're not taxing them as much as we should, and they want to go out and buy cars, they want to go out and buy homes, but they find that the interest rate is so high that it is almost impossible. Reagan proposed dealing tougher with the Soviets. Now, the Soviet Union was having trouble with their economy. They were having to spend more and more of their economy on their defense. They were getting to the point where they were almost in over their heads. Reagan is going to propose a plan in which lasers in outer space would shoot down Soviet missiles before they re-enter the atmosphere. Now, this video here is going to depict how this would work. Reagan is going to dub this plan Star Wars. The movie Star Wars had just come out, and the bad guys were being shot down with laser cannons, very similar to what Reagan had advocated. The Star Wars is going to make the United States spend billions of dollars on laser research, satellite research, research in outer space. Now, of course, this will make the Soviets do the same thing. During Reagan's first term, the country of Lebanon entered into a religious war. There were Muslims extremists from Syria, and they were battling Muslim extremists from other countries. The two sides were battling each other with the Christians of Lebanon caught kind of in the middle. Reagan is going to send the U.S. Marines to Lebanon to keep the peace. But inevitably, when you go to try to keep the peace, one side is going to swear that you are against them. One of the sides will get a truck full of dynamite, and a person will drive it into the Marine compound and blow himself in the compound up. Several hundred Marines will die. America will soon withdraw all troops from Lebanon, and the Lebanon Civil War will last for another 10 years. Here is a video of some of the men who were involved in this bombing. 1984 is a presidential election year, and Reagan is seen with very high marks all around. He is nominated by the Republicans for a second term. The Democrats are going to turn to Walter Mondale, who had been Jimmy Carter's vice president. Mondale is going to ask Geraldine Ferraro to be his running mate. This is the first time that a woman has ever run for vice president. You are looking at the greatest lopsided victory in the history of American politics. All of the red states are Reagan. The blue state in the District of Columbia is Mondale. Not only did Reagan win popular vote by almost 60%, which is unheard of, but in electoral college votes, he also won a great deal. Every year, the president goes in for a physical. It was the physical after Reagan had been elected to his second term that cancer of the colon was discovered. Now, Reagan is going to undergo a surgery that will put him out of commission for several days. he will invoke the 25th Amendment and step down temporarily. George H.W. Bush, his vice president, will be elevated to president. Within a week, Reagan feels fine, and Bush will give up the presidency back to Reagan. This is the first time this has ever been used in our history. In Central America, the Sandinistas, which were communists, are attempting to take over the country of Nicaragua. Now, Nicaragua is controlled by the American Fruit Company. The Nicaraguans, using the American Fruit Company, is going to go to Congress and ask for military aid. But Congress refused. Congress believed that this would be nothing more than another Vietnam. At the same time, the CIA was financing a war by Afghanistan rebels against the Soviet Union. Now, the CIA would sell weapons to the Afghans at an inflated price, and the profits that they made would then go to the rebels of Nicaragua. Now remember, Congress said no, we are not going to fund the Contras from Nicaragua, but the CIA is doing this. Now the question is, does the president know this? Now, if the president does, he is supposed to tell the CIA to stop. It comes down to Oliver North. Oliver North is a colonel in the White House. North is asked to testify before Congress, and Oliver North said that he was in charge of the Iran-Contra affair. Now, the way this works is the CIA would sell the guns to Iran. Iran would then turn around and sell them to Afghanistan. Now, first of all, we weren't supposed to have anything to do with Iran, according to Congress, but here we are. The money that we made off of the sale of weapons would then be used to finance Nicaragua's war against the Sandinistas. Again, this is something Congress said we were not supposed to do. Well, all of this was brought out in live testimony before the Congress. The question became, did the president know what was going on? Now, Oliver North said no, it was just him and him alone. Eventually, North's boss, Oliver Poindexter, would be brought in, but that's pretty much where it stopped. Here is a video that deals with the Iran-Contra affair. It was during the Reagan administration that the Soviet Union is going to begin to make some fundamental changes. The Soviets could not keep up with the Americans when it came to their economy. And the Soviets are going to propose what they call glasnost. Glasnost is an opening up of the Soviet economy where private individuals could sell goods. Of course, all of this goes against the ideas of Marx, goes against the ideas of Lenin, goes against the ideas of all Soviet leaders. It is during this time that the Warsaw Pact begins to break apart. The Berlin Wall will fall during Reagan's time. In Poland, a shipbuilder strike is led by this man here, Lech Walesa. Lech Walesa, with the help of the Catholic Church, is going to mount a workers' strike against the Polish government. It will be successful. The workers will receive more money, and the Catholic Church will have a new person to tell the world about the evils of communism. This would be Karl Wojtyla, who was the Cardinal of Krakow in Poland, who would later become Pope John Paul II. The Soviet Union was beginning to see political and economic problems. They had elected themselves a new leader. He was Mikhail Gorbachev. And Gorbachev is going to look for economic reforms. Gorbachev is going to look for political reforms. Now, the economic reforms are called glasnost. The political reforms are called perestroika. In glasnost, we are allowing the economy to open up. We are not trying to control it as much as, say, a Leonid Brezhnev had done before Gorbachev. The political reform would allow others to get involved in the government besides just the communists. This here is a video about glasnost and perestroika. In Reagan's second term, we are going to see the breakup of the Warsaw Pact. Here is Reagan delivering a speech in front of the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin. And what you don't see behind him is you don't see the wall that had been built during the Kennedy administration. Well, I think this would probably be a pretty good time for us to call it quits for today. Tomorrow we're going to look at the end of the Reagan administration. And then on Thursday we're going to do our walkout worksheet. And we're going to start on lesson 31.